part of that, I really like that approach, but part of it is empowering the parents to take control over that situation at the right moment in time, isn't it? When
That's
everything's ready.
that's correct. I mean, I think as a coach and providing the program, well, we're not going to be in the child's life forever. We're going to be there perhaps for a period, for a stage in their development. And I think it's very important that we work closely with the parents as well, because ultimately they're the guardian. They're the ones that they're going to begin their a whole new life of outdoor sport with that child, or when the child's going into a school setting or transition to school setting. So it's important for the parent to understand what stage the child's at within perhaps this simple learning when it comes to soccer. And then once we feel that we're ready and the parents ready, because it's very important. Sometimes there is a bit of a misconception, and parents can have a bit of fear in introducing their child into that sort of new environment, and that they fear rejection or that the child's going to be neglected. And I think we can work on ways of changing that mindset. And especially if they see their child thriving in our program and see them excelling with certain skills, well, then that gives them more confidence to be able to go into that new setting.
Yeah. And there's a readiness too about your local clubs who you're working with. There's also a readiness. You kind of make a kind of assessment about their readiness to accept people into their programs too. Is there a challenge in doing that as well?
I definitely think there is a challenge. I think we've been fortunate enough with the children that we've helped go into local clubs, that there have been clubs there with a set of training professionals where they're perhaps not professionals in working within our sector, but they do have a very structured training program for children in our age group. So, and I think it's important, our children need structure. So if they go into a setting where all of a sudden the skills they've been learning in next step, there's not a continuation of those skills, then they're going to be lost,
Yeah.
and they're not going to understand what's going on. So going into clubs where they're still one night a week they're training and they're still learning those basic skills, then that helps the child because they're familiar with what they're learning. So I think the biggest challenge now for us to help more children go into local sports teams is helping the clubs prepare the trainers and having more skilled, more qualified coaches. Sometimes they're volunteer parents, sometimes they're people that have been contracted from
Yeah.
other services, just helping them with, I think, very basic, simple instructions to then support a child with an additional need coming to that group.
Yeah, excellent, excellent. And what do you think? We'll have some more information on this in this episode about next step. What are some of your hopes for the future for Soccajoeys Foundation and Next Step?
Yeah, I think my biggest goal would be just to develop really strong partnerships with a whole range of different organisations. I'd love our foundation to be a service provider. We'd love to be able to go to groups like Autism Australia or Down Syndrome Australia and say, look, we're willing to come into your organisations and provide our Next Step program to your families. At the same time, this is how we run our program. It's an inclusive program, so we want to attract siblings and friends, and then hopefully also be able to go to local associations and train their coaches, build that pathway as well. So not only train the children and prepare the children, but actually go out there as advocates for inclusive learning and train even volunteer dads, volunteer mums.
Yeah.
I think it can be a very simple process and a very rewarding process for the club, the family, and the child. So hopefully, if we can be a middle person between those different areas, then that for me that would be a big.
You're really bridging that gap between supply and demand, aren't you? Really, you're the connectors between there and making sure everything kind of runs as smooth as it can be.
Hopefully, that's what I think we've been doing well over the last 4 years, and we've slowly consolidated ourselves within Sydney, and I think it's important for organisations also to see us as a credible group and a group that they can rely on, because when you're dealing in early childhood, you're dealing with the most precious individuals in the lives of the parents. So they want to be reassured that that the professionals that are coming in to work with their kids, have a good reputation, are serious, a professional, and we're getting good results. I think it's important to also demonstrate to the parents some of the outcomes that we've achieved over the last 4 years.
Excellent, excellent, Jose. Well, I'd encourage people to who are watching this to. I'll put the link for the website and some more information about your work there. But I really encourage people to get in touch with you if that's okay. If they want some more information around that.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from everybody, and I think it's all about being a community, whether a virtual community, a global community. But I think we're all here to try and help our young children, or help any individual that's needing some sort of assistance into going into an area that we find so important, which is sport and that whole social interaction and developing oneself.
Well, I think you've got a great approach, Jose, and you've got very intelligent and very good approach. So I hope people do get in touch, and thanks very much for today's interview.
Thank you, Peter.